Hello, and welcome to the Understanding Gifted Identification and Assessment informational video for Atlanta Public Schools Office of Gifted and Talented Education. If you are not familiar with our website, please take some time to explore the FAQs and other resources we have made available there, which are provided to make you aware of our testing systems and processes.
If you want to learn more about the gifted testing process here in APS, then you've come to the right place. This presentation will cover how we screen, refer, and test students for possible gifted identification. First, let's discuss what it means to be a gifted student. The Georgia Department of Education defines a gifted student as a student who demonstrates a high degree of intellectual and/or creative abilities, exhibits an exceptionally high degree of motivation, and/or excels in specific academic fields, and who needs special instruction and/or special ancillary services to achieve at levels commensurate with his or her abilities. In Atlanta Public Schools, we have two opportunities for gifted assessment. What we call Second Look simply refers to students who were referred and tested in the previous school year. In fact, all students tested for gifted in Atlanta Public Schools during the previous school year will have their data reviewed automatically by the local school eligibility team to see if that student's data substantiates the use of alternative assessments. If your student was tested in the previous year and qualifies for a second look, you should receive a consent form for continued testing this year. That testing takes place in September and October. First look refers to our main testing process. In fact, all students who were not tested in the previous year will be screened for possible referral for gifted testing. We have three ways we screen and refer students for testing: automatic referral, teacher referral, and parent referral.
Automatic referral is a data-driven process which includes reviewing a student's nationally normed test data. Data is reviewed from a number of sources and varies based on a student's grade level. For this year, all students in grades K-8 will take the STAR Math, and students in grades 2-8 will take the STAR Reading assessments. While these assessments cannot be used to support a gifted identification, they are used to refer students for testing. Students scoring at or above the 85th percentile on their national percentile rank in either reading or math meet the criteria for a data-driven automatic referral. Georgia Milestones end of grade results are also reviewed for students in grades 4 through 9. Students scoring in the top 10th percentile based on the APS local norms meet the criteria for a data-driven automatic referral. Students in grades 9 through 11 only who have a 2-year core cumulative average of 3.5 or greater on a 4.0 scale may have their GPA considered and meet the criteria for a data-driven automatic referral. We also consider PSAT scores. Students who have a 90 or higher on either the total reading or total math meet the criteria for a data-driven automatic referral. Students new to Atlanta Public Schools who bring with them a nationally normed test score, such as the Iowa Test of Basic Skills or Stanford Achievement Test, that are valid within 2 years, may also have this data reviewed to determine if they meet the criteria for data-driven automatic referral. Private testing or evaluations will not be accepted to establish eligibility for APS gifted services.
The second way we screen and refer students for gifted testing is through teacher referral. Teacher referrals are based on information gathered through the TABS process. TABS refers to traits, aptitudes, and behaviors. This process asks teachers who work with students to indicate their observation of 10 different traits, aptitudes, or behaviors. The demonstration of these possible gifted characteristics are rated when observed at a superior degree and on a consistent basis. Teachers are aware as well that the demonstration of these traits, aptitudes, and behaviors may not always necessarily be positive. For example, the late comedian Robin Williams, a great impersonator, probably found it entertaining to mimic his teacher as a child. Although funny to some, I'm certain his teacher might have disagreed. Nonetheless, humor was still being displayed. Depending on the TABS results, and with supporting documentation collected by the eligibility team, a student may be referred for gifted assessment. This process will take place in October.
In Atlanta Public Schools, parents may request their students be assessed for the gifted program. Forms are due to the student school of attendance by September 30th, 2019, and should not be sent directly to the Office of Gifted and Talented Education. The parental consent form is available at your local school, or you can access the form from our website. Visit www.atlantapublicschools.us/gifted and then select the Identifying Gifted Children link on the left side of the page. In the event a student was assessed in a recent assessment window, has current assessment data, and was found to be ineligible for gifted services, but a parental referral is submitted, further assessment may not be warranted.
When a student has been screened through our automatic teacher or parent process and a referral has been made, the child will be assessed in 4 different areas per state board rule. These 4 areas are mental ability, achievement, creativity, and motivation. In nearly all circumstances, the results we consider are national percentile rankings. The NPR compares your student's performance to others the same grade and/or age at time of testing. Therefore, the scores you see are comparisons of how your child performed to other students in the same norm group. Think of the bell curve. An NPR of 50 would mean your child is performing at or better than 50 out of every 100 students in the norm group. Once a student has been referred and parental consent has been received, we begin to gather the data. The first area, the area of mental ability, assesses the student's abilities to reason and problem solve with new and novel things. First Look students receive the Cognitive Abilities Test, or COGAT. This assessment, typically given over 3 days, has a verbal, quantitative, and nonverbal component, and it is an age-normed assessment. This means students are being compared to other students the same age at time of testing based on a national sample. The minimum affirmative score in the area of mental ability is greater than or equal to the 96th percentile. Once again, think of the bell curve. This means in order to meet criteria in the area of mental ability, students must score at or better than 96 of their peers out of 100 who were the same age at time of testing. The second area in which we gather data is the area of achievement. Achievement measures skills that can be taught and learned. As parents, this is probably what you're most familiar with. Your child goes to school, is taught things by their teacher, and shows mastery of what they've learned. When parents tell me about their children having great grades, this is a mark of achievement. For gifted testing purposes, in Atlanta Public Schools, we use the MAP test, or the Measures of Academic Progress. This is also a nationally normed test. Unlike the COGAT, which is age normed, however, the MAP test is grade normed. This means that your student's results are comparing him or her to other students the same grade at time of testing. The MAP test is a computer adaptive test, and both a reading and a math component are given. For our older students, we also use the PSAT, our Preliminary Scholastic Aptitude Test. This is also a nationally normed test that is grade normed. In order for students to meet the criteria in the area of achievement, they must obtain a score at the 90th percentile or higher in either reading or math. The third area in which we gather data is the area of creativity. The Torrance Test of Creative Thinking, or TTCT, is the first instrument we use. This is a timed, nationally normed assessment that takes place in one session. It measures creative thinking through figural responses. Please note this does not mean your child is assessed on his or her drawing ability, but rather the thinking that goes into their figural responses. This includes assessing a number of dimensions. For example, fluency is the ability to generate a lot of ideas. Originality is the ability to generate ideas that are different or statistically infrequent. Elaboration is a child's ability to go into a lot of details about their ideas. The test also looks at the ability of a child to think abstractly and their ability to keep an open mind, which they call resistance to premature closure. Finally, creative strengths are also assessed. All of these areas are looked at together to produce a national percentile ranking. The minimum score needed to meet the state criteria in the area of creativity is greater than or equal to the 90th percentile. Note that in the area of creativity, we can use either the age norm or the grade norm, so we'll report the one that is in favor of your child or the highest score. When you receive results, the score you see is the higher between the age and grade norm. The fourth and final area in which we collect data is the area of motivation. Motivation measures a student's drive or persistence, their desire to succeed, their tendency to enjoy challenging tasks, and the ability to work well without encouragement or reinforcement. For students in grades K through 7 or possibly 8, we use the gifted rating scale. This is an age-normed assessment where the higher of two scores is reported. The GRS is a rating scale that is completed by two trained evaluators on your student. A score at or above the 90th percentile is the minimum criteria needed to meet identification requirements in the area of motivation. For students in grades 8, we often use the Children's Academic Intrinsic Motivation Inventory, or CAMI. This is an instrument that is completed by the student and produces scores in each of the content areas as well as a general motivation score. For our older students in grades 8 and up, we're also able to look at GPA. Students who have greater than or equal to a 90 cumulative average in advanced content courses can use this in the area of motivation. Once the data has been collected in all four areas, an eligibility determination can be made. Most students who are eligible through multiple criteria, or option B, which you see on the right side of the chart. In this instance, students must have a qualifying score in 3 of the 4 categories. Some students are eligible through the psychometric or option A approach. For this instance, student must have a qualifying score in the mental ability category and the achievement category. However, the mental ability category for the psychometric approach, only the composite score can be considered. Therefore, if a student in grades K through 2 has a composite score on their mental ability assessment of the 99th percentile, or students in grades 3 through 12 have a composite score on their mental ability assessment of 96th percentile or higher, and that student has a qualifying achievement score, then they would be eligible through option A, regardless of what the creativity and motivation results were. Eligibility decisions cannot be made until all the data has been collected and analyzed by the local school eligibility team. This typically takes place in April and May.
Let's go over some assessment factoids. Students who are referred for gifted testing sit for up to 6 sessions. Each of these sessions are approximately 1 hour in duration. Teachers do inquire about students' well-being prior to testing. We will not test a student who is ill. We do ask that parents are mindful about attendance. It is often not possible to communicate the exact days the assessments will occur. Students have to schedule around events, technology availability, examiner availability, and a number of other factors. Please try to send your child to school every day during the test window, unless your child is ill. As a reminder, second look testing is completed by early October and services will begin by the second semester. First look testing is completed by February. Results are typically available by late April or early May. Parents will receive an eligibility report showing your students' results. Students who are eligible will begin services in fall 2020.
Here's what will happen whether your student is found eligible or found ineligible. For eligible students, you will of course receive a copy of the eligibility report. This shows your student's performance in each of the 4 areas. Eligible students will be scheduled to receive services by the following semester. Please note that eligibility is valid statewide, but there is no reciprocity between states. Therefore, if you were to move somewhere else within the state of Georgia, the gifted identification will follow your student. Also, students who are determined eligible will remain eligible. There is no need to undergo additional testing in future years. For students who were determined ineligible, you will also receive a copy of their eligibility report. Again, this report will detail your student's results in each of the 4 areas. As an ineligible student, your student will have their data automatically reviewed in the fall of the next school year in order to see if they qualify for a second look based on district criteria. Please also note that differentiation will continue to occur in the regular classroom so that your child's needs can be met.
Let's talk just a little more about what it means to be a second look. As a reminder, all students who were a first look in the previous school year have their data automatically reviewed in the current school year to see if they meet district criteria for a second look. Parents will be notified and will be sent a parental notification of consent form. Students who are a first look this year will be afforded the same consideration next fall if they were not eligible and meet the district's criteria for a second look. As a reminder, all of the scores we collect are valid for 2 years. Note that nationally normed data will not be re-administered within a 2-year window.
This chart summarizes the assessments that are typically used for first look, as well as the assessments that we use for second look. For first look students, in the area of mental ability, we use the COGAT. In the area of achievement, we use the MAP or the PSAT. In the area of creativity, we use the TTCT. And in the area of motivation, depending on your child's grade level, we will use the GRS, the CAMI, or look at a child's GPA. Second look students had those instruments in the previous year, so we look at their data to determine if they are eligible for alternative assessments. Alternative assessments might involve the INNAT, which is the Naglieri Nonverbal Abilities Test, or an APS Individual Psychological Examination. In the area of achievement, students may receive the MAP test or a product performance that is structured. In the area of creativity, a product or performance may also be used, as well as that can also be used in the motivation, or we can give an alternative GRS rating by a new evaluator. As a reminder, those second look students are those who were tested for gifted in the previous year. Those second look students have their data automatically reviewed by the local school eligibility team to determine if they meet the criteria for alternative assessments. There is strict criteria set by the district office. Second look students may not feel like they were tested due to the nature of the assessments. For example, the product or performance is typically given in the homeroom or the art room and does not feel like a test, but rather like a classroom assignment. For more information, visit our website and refer to the assessment frequently asked questions. If you have more questions about how gifted and talented education assessment takes place in Atlanta Public Schools, we ask that you please reach out to the gifted teacher at your child's school. Every school should have a contact that can help answer your questions. If your local school is unable to answer your questions, please reach out to the APS Office of Gifted and Talented Education. Once again, our website is www.atlantapublicschools.us/gifted. Feel free to give us a call at 404-802-7585. We look forward to working with you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this informational video about gifted and talented testing in Atlanta Public Schools.